That stale loaf sitting on your counter right now? Do not throw it out. Combine it with a pinch of sea salt and 2 days of patience, and it becomes one of the most effective free fertilizers you can pour into your garden. We made a batch 48 hours ago, and what came out of that jar genuinely surprised us. Stay with us, because this one is worth your time. Most gardeners assume that a quality fertilizer has to come from a store or carry a real price tag. This one costs almost nothing because it is built from food you are already going to discard. Stale bread is packed with wild yeast and natural sugars, and when sea salt is added to the mix, it draws moisture out of the bread through osmosis, creating exactly the warm, mineral-rich environment that beneficial microbes need to multiply rapidly. The process happening inside that jar is called fermentation, the same fundamental process used to make sourdough bread, sauerkraut, and yogurt. Wild yeast consumes the carbohydrates in the bread, and lactic acid bacteria multiply rapidly, producing amino acids, enzymes, and B vitamins along the way. These are the very same compounds found in expensive microbial fertilizers sold in garden centers. Think of this as a kitchen-made version of fermented plant juice, a method used in Korean natural farming for generations, simplified down to 2 ingredients. Sea salt does more than kickstart the fermentation. It contributes its own nutritional value to the final liquid. Natural, non-iodized sea salt contains trace minerals including magnesium, potassium, and calcium, all of which support strong plant cell walls and steady growth. When those minerals combine with the amino acids and enzymes produced during fermentation, the resulting liquid feeds both your soil biology and your plants at the same time. That dual action effect is what separates this brew from plain water and makes it genuinely worth adding to your organic garden routine. Here is the good news. Everything you need is probably already in your kitchen right now. For one batch, gather 2 to 3 cups of stale or dried bread torn into rough chunks, crusts included. Day-old sourdough is ideal because it already carries a strong, naturally occurring microbial culture. Any plain, unsweetened stale bread works well too. Alongside the bread, you will need 1 level teaspoon of non-iodized sea salt, 1 clean quart-sized mason jar, and a breathable cover like a small piece of cloth secured over the top with a rubber band. Do not substitute regular iodized table salt in this recipe. Iodine is added to table salt specifically to kill bacteria, and that is the exact opposite of what this fermentation process needs. Non-iodized sea salt allows the wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria to run their course without interference. One more detail worth following: filtered water or collected rainwater produces better results than standard chlorinated tap water because chlorine can slow microbial activity significantly. If tap water is all you have, fill your container the night before and leave it sitting uncovered overnight to allow the chlorine to off-gas before use. Step 1. Begin by tearing your stale bread into rough chunks and placing them loosely into your clean mason jar, filling it about 2/3 full without packing it down tightly. Scatter the sea salt evenly over the top layer of bread, then pour in just enough filtered water to barely cover the bread by about 1/2 inch. Press the bread chunks down gently so every piece is in contact with the water, and check back after 10 minutes to add a small splash more if the bread has absorbed it all. Step 2. Cover the jar with a piece of breathable fabric. Cheesecloth or a clean square of cotton cloth works perfectly, and hold it in place with a rubber band. The jar must breathe throughout the fermentation process. Sealing it airtight will stop fermentation and can cause dangerous pressure buildup inside the jar. Place the covered jar on a kitchen counter away from direct sunlight or on a pantry shelf. The ideal temperature range is between 65 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Too cold, and the fermentation will stall. Too warm, and you risk the wrong bacteria gaining control. Step 3. Give the jar a gentle stir once each day to keep fermentation moving evenly and to make sure all the bread pieces remain submerged below the waterline. Within the first 24 hours, small bubbles will begin forming along the inner glass walls and rising to the surface. This is the wild yeast activating and the lactic acid bacteria beginning to multiply. The liquid will start taking on a light, pale golden color and develop a mild, yeasty aroma similar to an active sourdough starter. That aroma and those bubbles are exactly the signs you want to see. Step 4. By the 48-hour mark, the liquid will have deepened to a warm amber or golden brown color, and the aroma will be distinctly tangy and yeasty, similar to a sourdough starter or a mild kombucha. That is the sign that fermentation has been successful, and your concentrate is ready. A good batch smells pleasantly sour and earthy, never foul or putrid. If yours smells strongly unpleasant, discard it, and start again with a clean jar and fresher bread. A successful batch is easy to identify. Its golden color and mild fermented aroma tell the whole story. Before we get into how to strain this, store it, and apply it to your garden. If this is the kind of practical, no chemical content you have been looking for, take just a second right now to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. New organic gardening tutorials go up every single week, covering everything from soil health to composting to simple DIY fertilizers just like this one. Now let us keep moving. Once your 48 hours are complete, set a fine mesh strainer over a clean bowl and slowly pour the entire contents of the jar through it. Press the saturated bread solids firmly against the mesh with the back of a spoon to squeeze out every last drop of liquid. The solids can be added directly to your compost bin. They have done their job. What collects in the bowl is your concentrate. A rich, warm golden amber liquid carrying lactic acid bacteria, amino acids, enzymes, and trace sea minerals. Transfer the strained concentrate into a clean glass jar and cover it loosely. A lid rested on top without fully sealing is perfect. If you plan to use it within the next week, storing it at room temperature is fine. For longer storage of up to 3 weeks, keep it in the refrigerator. Give the jar a gentle shake before each use since some natural settling and separation will occur between applications. Never seal this jar airtight at any stage, as low-level fermentation continues and needs a way to release naturally. For a soil drench, watering the concentrate directly around the base of your plants. Dilute 1 part of your concentrate with 100 parts of water. In practical terms, that is 2 tablespoons of concentrate per 1 gallon of water. Pour the diluted mixture slowly around the root zone of each plant, making sure the soil is already moist before you apply, so the liquid absorbs evenly into the soil, rather than running off the surface. Water the root zone, not the plant stem itself. For a foliar spray, applying the diluted liquid directly onto the leaves of your plants, dilute it slightly more. At 1 part concentrate to 150 parts water, and apply using a clean hand pump garden spray bottle. Spray in the early morning or early evening to prevent the sun from burning the wet leaf surface during the heat of the day. Apply once every 2 weeks during the active growing season, and observe your plant's response carefully after the first treatment before adjusting your frequency. Always let the results guide you. We applied this bread and sea salt ferment to 2 raised garden beds, 1 planted with tomatoes and 1 planted with peppers, and held a 3rd bed back as an untreated control throughout the trial. The first week showed only subtle differences between the beds, which was expected. By week 2, the treated beds were visibly greener, the new growth was measurably thicker, and the tomato plants had already set more flower buds than the untreated control bed at the same growth stage. By week 3, the gap between treated and untreated was clear enough to photograph side by side. What stood out beyond the plant growth was the change happening in the soil itself. After just 3 applications spaced 2 weeks apart, the soil in the treated beds felt noticeably looser and more crumbly underfoot, compared to the untreated bed, which remained slightly more compacted. That shift in texture is a direct indicator of increased microbial activity. Organic matter being broken down more efficiently, soil structure improving, and water absorbing and draining more evenly. Healthy soil is living soil, and this ferment feeds that living system from the ground up. That is the complete process. 2 kitchen staples, 1 mason jar, and 48 hours. And the result is a living, microbially rich liquid that your garden soil genuinely responds to over time. If this tutorial was helpful to you, please take a moment to like this video right now. It makes a real difference in helping more organic gardeners find content like this. If you are not already subscribed, hit that button so you never miss a new tutorial. And we genuinely want to hear from you in the comments below. Have you ever made a homemade fertilizer from kitchen scraps? What worked, what surprised you, and what do you wish someone had told you sooner? Drop your experience below. We see every single comment, and your stories help this whole community grow. Happy gardening!